We showed him some skill of not.
Am I appearing on the camera?
Yes, you are. So how many minutes should we give him?
Presentation.
No, let him present. Then we will advise him
according to based on the presentation.
Okay.
My name. Are you guys ready?
We are ready.
For my blushing, for
my
my shyness.
Be serious. This is very serious.
Very serious.
Not the one we did yesterday.
That door is quite open. It's fine.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah? Okay. All right.
Okay.
My name is Cleophas Monaledi. I'm here to present a topic on the topic of efficiency of United Nations responsibility to protect in terms of its application in intrastate in the case of Libya. 2011. Africa is facing many other conflicts, such as the one of intrastate, which are now regarded as one of the new wars. And Libya is one of the countries that also faced the same kind of conflicts in Libya. And United Nations had to act very quickly by utilizing the norm called R2P, which is also called hereafter responsibility to protect. This norm was intended to stop the killing of the populations. People were dying, and it started when Kofi Annan mentioned about the sovereignty, because the troops of the United Nations with the blue berets, they would go to a country and try to protect, and then they would act as a human shield instead of stopping the war. So there would be people fighting this side and the other side, then they would fight. So they found ways, and that's when R2P came to be. In 2005, R2P was initiated by United Nations, but commissioned by, obviously, Canada on the summit of 2005. And this was founded by Gareth Evans, and then it was, Libya actually was one of the first countries in the world for R2P norm to be applied. Now, the concerns have been raised over how this norm was applied or implemented in Libya during the war. In terms of R2P is a norm, it's like a moral. So the way it was applied or implemented, it was as if it became unethical in terms of its application when NATO, with the members of United States, Canada, United States, France, Britain, were involved in terms of arming the rebels, or we can say in short, taking sides. So intrastate is a war that happens within the country. That's my background. This is very important. The significance of this study is about contributing to people who are seeking deeper understanding in efficiency towards the efficiency of United Nations application or implementation of R2P in intrastate conflicts of in Libya 2011, and it will also refine, extend, validates, as well as generating a literature on this perspective, and it will also provide recommendations. There is a theory of social constructivism that has not, the authors, the literature has not covered more. So we will try to look into that. The problem statement in this research, it's the legal implementation of R2P. R2P has three pillars. Now the first pillar states that the country has a responsibility to protect, failing which it goes to a second pillar. If the country is not able to protect its own population, then the international community will come together and to assist the country in curbing that killings of the population, since it's not able to. The pillar 3, it states that actually the international community will rise up without consent. It will go into a country and affect it and assist the country in curbing, and it will do that decisively, meaning that it will do that without the permission of the country mentioned. Now the question here is, how does the United Nations move from Pillar 1 and Pillar 2 and went straight to Pillar 3, when it should be followed from Pillar 1 to Pillar 2 and to Pillar 3? So the legal application of R2P in terms of the pillars is what is causing the problem in this study. Now, has R2P as a norm achieved what R2P was intended for in Libya? And in terms of the interested conflicts that has taken place in Syria, we see that it was not applied. So here we're having this problem of ethical problem, and we're having also the problem of people taking sides in terms of not being used in Syria. Now, when we look at Libya before and look at Libya right now, R2P has done more harm than good, because a lot of people have been killed. Right now, as we're speaking, Libya has three governments. Libya has three governments instead of having two. We're having two. These three governments are fighting to control the country and control the oil. So Libya has been partitioned. That's the problem that we're having here. So it has done more partitioning. R2P has partitioned Libya. Because R2P was actually intended to address the atrocities. Now atrocities has increased. The aim of the study is to focus, this one I've not really put the action word, but is to research, the aim of the study is to research on efficiency, or to look at the efficiency of the United Nations in its application and implementation of responsibility to protect in Libya in terms of what happened there in interested conflicts. My objectives, my research questions are: what factors necessitated the implementation of R2P in the first place in Libya? And how efficient was the implementation of R2P in norms in interested Libya in terms of resolving the interested conflicts that were taking place? What are the mechanisms that United Nations can utilize in resolving the conflicts in the in future? Objectives of the study: to analyze the factors that necessitated the implementation of R2P in the very first place, and to analyze the effectiveness of this the implementation of United Nations responsibility to protect norms in resolving these conflicts. As well as the last one is to recommend the mechanisms that United Nations can utilize in resolving the interested conflicts. Now, the preliminary literature of this study is literature will be reviewed for the purpose of identifying and closing the gaps. Wow. Theoretical perspectives. Okay, cool. The study shall be utilized. Okay, all right, let me go back to it. Let me go back to preliminary literature review. Queens indicates that the use of the third party in resolving the conflicts, interested conflicts, and using NATO to resolve these issues seems to be temporary, because they come in, according to Queens 2013, they come in and they partition the country and they're gone. So it's done temporarily since Mama Gaddafi died. But what Queens does not point out here is, if he says that they are endorsing temporary measures, what are the mechanisms that can improve the R2P? Okay, that is not mentioned by Queens. And Biddisley says in 2017, he says that it's off of the opinion that the violence starts, the UN should not wait for interested to happen. So perhaps he's trying to suggest that, if United Nations can put early warning systems, then I think the conflicts can be resolved very quickly. However, he also does not mention how the early warning system should be placed there. So the Stankel talks about, in 2014, talks about the Western scholars that have prejudice in their writing, of course. But we are not going to dwell on the prejudice and point who's wrong, who's right. Okay? Theoretical perspective of this study. The study shall be underpinned by both social constructivism as well as realism. These are two theories that are going to be used in explaining this phenomenon, I suppose. So, why the researcher chose the social constructivism? Because we're looking at the norm, the R2P, responsibility to protect, which is a norm, which is about ethics, which is about morals. Now, in this, when the R2P came to be, R2P was constructed by human beings, was constructed by people. So that's why I'm using this in order to look at how it was constructed, how it was implemented, because it was implemented by the people and it was implemented by them. So that's why I'm using this. I'm not clear on this. Realism. I'm using realism because there's kind of the people that came into the country and tried to resolve the problem. NATO. These members also belongs to United Nations Security Council. Have a national interest. They're hegemonic countries. So that's why I'm using these three theories. I'm going to the research methodology. Research methodology is a methodological way of solving the research problems, like the one I have here, scientifically and rationally. There are tools that we have to use when we're doing this. So, such as research design, study areas, target population, sample size, and sample method and data collection. Now, my research design is the approach shall be. My research design is the qualitative, explanatory research design. I'm going to make use of qualitative because it seeks to explain, and qualitative explanatory it seeks to explain. So we're gonna be able to research. We're gonna be able to explain what exactly is happening in terms of the efficiency of the United Nations Security Council's in a responsibility to protect. My study area is once a government functioning and a world oil producing nation state of over 6 million people added to a 2011 rebellion to R2P to United Nations authorized NATO incomprehensible air raids to political partition to Libya. Libya was selected in this area of study because it was one of the first nation state for the norm of R2P to be used and the last one to be used. The target population is for this study is Institute of Security Studies. And the reason why is the Institute of Security Studies. Here we're going to get the chairman to in his viewpoints. And we chose this because these people from Institute of Security Studies have deep understanding of what's happening in the world. And another one is the target population is the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and they understand. They recognize what's happening in the world in terms of their foreign policies. And South African international affairs. Yes, we're going to interview also academics. We're going to interview UN director from UN and the ambassadors from Libya, France, Britain, and United States. The sample size is 11. And 11 respondents will be interviewed. And sampling method is this study will employ the non-probability sample technique, focusing on the purposive sampling as well as snowballing. Why we're choosing it purposive is because we have a respondents directly that we're going to interview directly. And we have also snowballing because we can be referred to the next person who knows about the efficiency of the United Nations. Data collection, I'm going to use two I'm going to use the primary data. I'm going to collect the data from semi-structured interviews, and I'm also going to collect the data from secondary data. It's going to be secondary data from previous writings, reports, articles, books, and newspapers. Data analysis, content analysis is used to analyze secondary data, and Atlas TI version 8 is used to analyze data. We've got to make sure that we adhere to the codes of conduct and the ethical principles of research reliability, honest, and in all aspects of research, voluntary accountability in the conduct of research, professional courtesy and fairness in working with others, as well as good stewardship of research on behalf of others. From the Regulatory Ethics Committee at Northwest University. Yes, proposed chapter 1, I'm going to cover everything of chapter 1 and chapter 2, literature and theoretical
let's leave that. Kofi, your comments?
I think you should start.
My comments, on the significance, I'm not sure where to start here, but on the background, okay. Significance, you said you contribute to the society. That seeks understanding. Your significance should be like to add to, either to add to the body of knowledge, also to, there are 2 or 3 things, main things that applies to significance of the study. One of them is the body of knowledge, but I see here another one is that to add to the gap, literature gap, as to maybe variables that were done. The literature is scanty now. Some will incorporate that kind of contribution. Even the one of policy. To add to policy. But if you, the way you have phrased it here, it doesn't look good. Look into that. Probably your problem statement. You mention a lot of things. Maybe because I'm not very deeply embedded into this question of R2P, but I felt like you should have, in most of your presentation, you start in the body and then you go to the problem. I thought you should start with the problem, then go to peripheral issues. So in most instances, I've heard that you will start with peripheral issues, then go to the main thing. I don't know how would the panel see that, but I think it's better you always start with the most important as to what the problem is, you see.
Like sort of a problem.
State the problem from the beginning. What is
from the
problem?
beginning?
Yeah,
okay.
What is the problem?
Okay, I think my supervisor said I must problematize. So I think that's
exactly.
Okay. So I did not understand that. So I think now I get it. I'll note it.
And the aim of the study, I think that's where the conceptualization, the heart of conceptualization. What are your variables, and clearly state them and how you are going to work.
And what? Sorry. Is it up?
Asking that we must use the
all right.
Don't forget our diagram. Yes,
Where are we going? Here?
The one which is open, I think is that one.
Oh, this is a class.
Can you switch on the light? Okay. Aim of the study. You have written just 2 lines, which is not really a problem, but that's where you conceptualize. Like, you tell what are you going to do with what. You demonstrate what here are your variables.
On the aim of the study.
Yeah. Well, what do you aim to achieve? Are you going to connect? Are you going to find the relationship between what and what? You see, connect what and what. Find the relationship between what and what. That's where you tell us there. So I think it's covered there, but just look at it as to that is covered.
Okay, what I want to achieve.
Your research objectives, I didn't pick anything. Your
You
preliminary.
didn't pick, meaning that's okay to you.
Huh?
You didn't pick, meaning
No.
you didn't see a problem.
But that does not mean that there couldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then your preliminary literature review, ne?
Yeah.
You somewhat, like I said in the problem statement, you have a tendency of starting from the peripheral to the core. Tell what is the gap in terms of literature, or if it's not a gap, because we have different ways of what you want to achieve for this literature. Go straight to the point that in this literature, the literature is referring, as it relates to this study, there is a gap in terms of, or the literature is scanty. Then you demonstrate how it's scanty. You see, if there is a gap, you start by saying at the beginning, your opening sentence, you say, in this literature there is a gap, ne? As an opening sentence. Then from there, you start demonstrating what is the gap by showing from the two variables of your study. You see?
Yeah.
Straight into the point.
About three, one or two or three, yeah?
Yes, it could be two sources from your R2P and then two sources from your UN efficiency to show that there is a literature gap. And you are done without talking about a lot of peripheral issues that confuses your readers. You see, that is what I'm making of your literature. Your theoretical perspective, also I did not pick anything, but that does not say that there couldn't be anything, but it was not bad. That you are clear that you are using social constructivism and realism. And then methodology. Methodology also, if you have your thing there, under study area, you started with peripheral issues again. Then after that, you said on the second line, Libya was selected in this study area. You should have started by saying that. You say, study area, Libya was selected in this study because of what. You see? But then, instead you started by saying a lot of things that are not, you started by saying, once a government functioning, what does that has to do with your study area?
Sorry, I'm going to have to stop you guys. The admin says she's told to lock up this place and bring the key.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll give you the remaining comments by the staircase.
No, it's not a problem.
Wow.
I need
this one is.
I attend to her.
This is one of the best.
I need to attend to my boss here. Yeah? I love all his comments. I'll give him one-on-one my comments when we meet downstairs.
All right. Okay, Paul also will give me a comments. I thought you were going to give me comments also.
Well, you're going to come to HSS, right?
Huh?
Because I wrote down all your comments. I'll give it to you once I'm done with that. Our friend is waiting for.
All right.
Okay.
Are you coming what time?
No, I'm just there. I'm downstairs.
Okay.
Let's go.
This is one of the best in a presentation I've ever.
Yeah, and then methodology. No?
Yeah.
Then we go. I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Your class is tomorrow.
I could do that. I have to be here.
Okay, tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is it. Your study area. You said you start by in that from that. You say Libya was selected.
Yeah.
For this reason, and then maybe you just give further little explanation as to why Libya.
Okay.
You see, then you are done with your study area.
Okay.
Instead of the way you.
Okay, I just use the second line, I suppose.
Exactly.
That's it.
As your start point of departure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then target population.
So do I stretch it or just? Oh, and then I can bring this one in at the bottom. Or,
Exactly.
Oh, I
or
see.
leave it out.
Oh,
Leave it
yeah.
out or put it at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, but where you started now, where I've showed you, it's a good.
Yeah.
Starting. Then you, from after study area, you said target population. After target population, you said sample size. You don't have to, because you just mentioned it passing, but you are struggling to just say DIRCO and SAIA, UN. You spend about 2 minutes on that, just trying to explain. Just movement, because that thing is there, it's written.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you struggle reading it, it gives an impression like you are not. It raises eyebrows. You see.
Yeah.
Just read it in passing.
Yeah.
Just read it is written. Then sampling size and sampling method. Sampling size is 11 respondents will be interviewed. Ne?
Yeah.
And then instead of saying separating the two, just make it one thing. Sampling size and sampling method.
Sampling method. Okay.
Yeah. You see? And then you say, then you incorporate the body together, the content of the two. It saves time that way. But the way you have done it doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it's just an advice that you should do.
Something says, So I think you're absolutely right, because even here, this thing says it's like they're placed together.
Okay.
I saw it.
In a proposal, when you write it, you can split, but the way when you do in a proposal format, just incorporate that.
Yeah, you see, it's that together.
Exactly, yeah. And then data collection. Semi-structured interviews. You just mentioned that, and as if everybody understands what is that. You see?
Yeah.
Please try to spend about 2 minutes explaining what is semi-structured interviews. How will the questions be? I know my little knowledge tells me that semi-structured means some of the questions are close-ended, some are open-ended, and then they will be in the form of a questionnaire, and you will be asking the question face to face with the research participant or respondent. That kind of explanation.
Okay, so it's open-ended?
Yes.
Oh, and the others are structured?
Others are structured. No. Others are structured, others are unstructured. Structured means close-ended. Unstructured means open-ended. You see?
Okay.
And then that also the interviewer will either hold a questionnaire, will hold a questionnaire with a list of questions, or it will be just a guide, a questionnaire guide. Explain that, you see.
Okay, so you said unstructured is a close-ended. Open-ended, right?
Yeah.
Then this one is a close-ended.
It's close-ended questions, yeah.
So are they the ones that, when you ask, that is, you structured it. Then from what the person has said, you are directing that, focusing on your topic, right? You ask another question. Yeah,
you give the interview the chance. This is an interview, ne?
Yeah.
You ask the question, then the respondent responds. Then either you write it, you write it down in your notebook. That is also important.
Yeah.
Or you are recording.
What if it's over the phone telephonically?
Exactly. All those.
Because that's what I'm going to do.
Exactly. That is why I say you should spend 2 to 3 minutes on that. Because
on this one, huh?
Yes, it's very important. And that you are using a notebook or interview guide. Are you recording, or is it a telephone? You see.
At least 2 minutes there.
Yeah, try to don't just
clarify.
That one line is not enough.
Yeah.
It exposes you. Yeah. Then secondary data.
Yeah, you see, what you say is correct, huh? It's, you see, to be clarified. Exactly. This person, they said, no, you have to clarify.
Yeah. All these things that I mentioned.
Even the population, the same thing you said, to provide clarity on population. So it looks like these are often mistakes that common mistakes that we make.
Yeah. And where will the interview be? Will it be in a park? Are you going to invite them to the restaurant? Are you going to telephonically?
Telephonically.
That kind.
I must explain that.
Yeah. Okay. How are you going to get their telephone numbers? Do you know them? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So they want to know that, for them to see that the study is feasible or not. Secondary data. This is not necessary for in this purpose, because all studies, they use secondary data. You may mention it, you may not.
Oh, okay.
You see, it's not necessary. Then data analysis, content analysis is used to analyze secondary data. You have not said anything there.
Yeah, because
you have not said anything. It's just like on that data collection, that 2 minutes that we said. Explain how I'm going to explain that data that has been collected through interviews has been recorded by way of the notes that were made by the researcher.
Extracting.
Then these notes will be coded, and then after coding, then the researcher will establish patterns and themes to come up with the findings, conclusions, and recommendations. That is data analysis. That is content analysis in data. You see, codes that will you transcribe? Are you going to record somewhere as a backup?
As a backup,
You see?
okay.
And then are you going to do some transcriptions, transcribe